the most ethical way today, I still believe, true and genuine, is to hire a good copywriter. Hire a good copywriter to write for you and then train it on that.
Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Jeff Hunter. If you don't know who Jeff is, he is an AI consultant who helps online business owners leverage AI to grow their business with a lot of less effort. He's also author of AI for Business Playbook. His membership is called the AI Persona Method, and he also certifies AI consultants. Jeff, welcome to the show. How you doing today?
Great to be here. It's an honor.
Well, I'm super stoked you're here. Today, Jeff and I are going to explore advanced AI copywriting techniques. But before we go there, Jeff, I would love to hear your story. Like, how in the world did you get into AI? Start wherever you want to start with that story.
Well, first off, I've always loved just technology in general. When I was just a little kid, my grandpa was a huge encourager to me, and he actually bought the very first computer that I've even seen ever in my life, outside of like those crusty little Macintosh computers they used to have at the school computer labs.
Yeah.
And my grandpa always told me, he said his motto, which I'm trying to live today, he says, Jeff, one day everything's going to be automatic. Just everything's going to be a push of the button. And he believed in that so much that he prepared me at a very young age. At 11 years old, he would actually drop me off at a computer store that was a couple blocks away from his house. And I would work there after school for free, right? And
That's
I would
cool.
just learn and build computers and just learn all sorts of stuff. And I just loved it. And I loved gaming. I used to get into gaming. And so that kind of always carried with me. I did that traditional path that you're told when you're a kid, like you should go to college. And I went to college for computer information systems. So it's an IT degree. Funny story. I actually, before the time I graduated college, because I had so much experience before I even turned 18, that I actually had two careers that people went to college to get before I graduated college. I was an IT director for a school district for almost 4 years. And then I was an IT project manager for Philips Electronics, a Fortune 500 company. So that's pretty much how I was always in IT. But the thing is, back in the early 2000s, because of my gaming, I started learning how to just manage teams remotely. And I just got obsessed with learning how to build remote teams. And even when I had my corporate job, I always had a little side hustle of building remote teams to do marketing, usually building websites and things like that. I hired people all over the world to do things. And when AI came out, I was like, this is literally a dream of mine, because I used to grow up with the Star Trek mindset. Like, I don't know if you're a Trekkie.
Next Generation, that was my favorite show, man.
That's my jam.
Yeah.
My favorite character was Data. And Data, if you guys are listening, Data was this humanoid robot who had all the information of the world kind of stuffed inside of him, but he wasn't a human. But he looked like a human, and people expected him to be a human, but he didn't know how to act, and he had a hard time expressing himself like you would expect a robot. And honestly, that kind of feels like where we're at right now with ChatGPT, right?
Right.
So when AI came out, I built this virtual assistant team, and I have over 100 people on my team. And in November of 2022, when ChatGPT came out, I actually had this come to Jesus moment where I said, why would someone hire a remote virtual assistant on the other side of the world when they can use AI for free, right? I mean, ChatGPT, even just the free version, is way more powerful than I thought it was ever going to be. And that was in 2022.
Right.
So I actually got into AI out of desperation. So desperation of potentially losing my team and having a business go to zero because humans were going to be replaced by AI. I created a task force in the Philippines with my team, and we basically started figuring out, like, how could we beat AI? How can we prove to people that we're a better choice than the AI? But an interesting discovery is when I started working with my team, they started being mind blown of all the stuff AI could do. And it was kind of that old saying, if you can't beat them, join them.
Right.
So we shifted our mindset from saying, how can we prove ourselves better than AI to how can we improve ourselves with AI to provide a better service? And I've been obsessed with it ever since.
That's an awesome story. So tell us kind of today what you're doing, because you've got a lot of stuff in the hopper on the AI frontier.
Well, I've always loved marketing. You'll see, for those of you listening in, I'm donning my savage marketer swag. And that's because, much like, I don't know if anyone listening is from the corporate world, but I didn't know anything about being an entrepreneur. When I left Philips to pursue my career of being an entrepreneur, I actually fell super flat on my face. And I went from making a solid, crispy $132,000 a year with a company car, a company phone, a company computer. I even had a company credit card. I could bill $75 a day for food. That's how I got fat. But I went from having that safety net and golden handcuffs to being negative $50,000 in revenue my first year as an entrepreneur. And I had to move in with my grandparents. You want to talk about an ego crushing moment. I had to move in with my grandpa, and I had a wife and a 3-year-old at the time. So it was kind of a wake up call. So I really got obsessed with learning, how can I make it online? And I just became obsessed with learning how to do marketing. And what's really interesting is when I finally figured out how to do marketing and build a pipeline of sales for my virtual assistant company, I started realizing that I actually loved the marketing behind it. I actually loved the marketing of my business more than I loved my business. So I figured out a way to literally outsource myself. And now my virtual assistant company, I only work about 15 minutes a day on that company. It's a morning all hands call with my leadership team. There's about 10 of us on that call, and they just tell me what's going on. And I say, great. And if they need help, I help them out. And that's how I started realizing that's the power that we really have with leverage, whether it's human or AI. I think that's the real goal, and the kind of manifesting hack that I'm into right now is how can I leverage my time in a way to where I really wake up and only do what I want to do, what I love to do every day. And that's kind of like a quest that I've been on. And AI makes that even easier to accomplish now. Because
Very
I
cool.
think about all the things that a virtual assistant, I own, the company I have is virtual assistants based in the Philippines, right? And I know you probably have a whole team over there for what you're doing, my guess.
No, we're all in the States, but I know plenty of people that
Oh,
do.
wow. That's
Yeah.
incredible. It's so hard to hire people in America now. I don't know if you heard the laws in California, but
Oh yeah. Trust me, I know.
oh yeah, it's almost impossible to hire remote team members in California. But it's just been so incredible building a team in the Philippines, but there's disadvantages, right? Probably the reason why you're hiring in America, like the language barrier, for example. The you can kind of tell when someone writes in Filipino English than American English. And sometimes things just aren't up to par, especially on the copywriting side. But now with AI, that language barrier is completely destroyed. I actually wrote an article for entrepreneur.com where I talk about how the language barrier is gone. And now the global workforce is so much more available to us as Westerners. And also think about the economic implications for people overseas who can now compete with people because they have ChatGPT for free, right?
Yeah. And by the way, that's a perfect transition into my next question. So we are here to talk about persuasive copy. And I love, but there's plenty of marketers and creators and entrepreneurs listening right now who might feel a little, I don't know about using AI to write persuasive copy. So why don't you explain for those that aren't doing it yet, kind of what they're missing or why they ought to get on board?
Well, first off, I'm going to be 100% transparent and say I had the same problem. And when I first started working with AI, and all of us have seen this, you've seen that person who they never post on social media, but ever since ChatGPT came out, they started posting stuff and they have hashtags. You know, this person has no idea what a hashtag does, right? Like
Right.
they're obviously just using ChatGPT to create their posts, which I, by the way, think is a horrible way to build a brand. You're actually hurting your brand by having generic, crappy stuff online, right? So, and it used to be the term content is king is no longer valid because I think content is just so easy to make now with AI, right? So let me go back a second to show you how I actually figured this out and how we can get AI to write good stuff. Because this was one of the ideas that my team members came up with when I had that task force in the Philippines. I said, what is some stuff that we're struggling with that if we were able to do this, it would add so much more value to our clients? And that was one of the things that popped up was social media posts, blog posts, content, sales copy. This is stuff that's all like revenue generating stuff that a virtual assistant could do for one of our clients. And I was like, man, but yeah, I'm picky, like for real. As a copywriter, as a marketer, I don't feel comfortable having my team do it. So here's where I came up with this idea, Michael. I said, what if I was able to train the AI to literally write like me?
Mm.
And then all I needed was a VA to operate the AI version of me. Now, if that was possible, that would blow my mind, first off. And back in 2022, ChatGPT was not even close to what we have now. Like Claude is a game changer, which we'll go into later. Okay. Claude, just put the pin there. We're going to go to Claude. We're going to go deeper. Okay. But how this came about was I actually was able to get ChatGPT, even as early stages, to be about 60 to 70% as good as me. That's where I felt. I was like, wow, even if it was 50%, that means that I would have to do 50% less work. Like
Right.
that would increase my projects by half,
Right.
even with primitive ChatGPT. So, by the way, to give you a little preview of what we're going to talk about later, I've got it to 90%, even 100%. Actually, I hate to say it, over 100%. We'll talk about how I got my ego crushed last year when AI actually wrote better than me.
So okay, so wait, let's just first of all, what I'm hearing you say is, hey, for anybody who's not yet using ChatGPT and or Claude to create really great content, Jeff is here to prove to you that it can do it, and it can actually do it better than you could ever possibly imagine. And the upside to that could be you regaining your time to do things that or allowing you to do things way faster, because a lot of us writers get stuck a lot of times, and AI can really, really help unstick you. And I can speak from, I'm also a copywriter. It's amazing. So I'd love to dig into your method, because you have a really cool method. Let's start with the first part of your process. Kind of, where do we begin to get to the point where we can have a AI version of ourselves that writes way better than, as good or better than we are? And not everybody's a copywriter, but even if you're not a copywriter, you can still get some great stuff out of this, obviously, right?
I'm going to give you the holy grail, and we'll give both examples. Let's just say you're one of those people who isn't a great copywriter, and maybe you want to actually get AI to write better than you. Or
Right.
if you're in the camp of me and you, where you're already an established copywriter and, professionally people pay me to write stuff for them, right? Like there's two ends of this coin, and they're both positive success either way. Okay.
Good.
Number one, the holy grail is actually the data. Okay. 90% of this formula that I'm going to share with you guys today is getting good copy. So this is something that I call AI readiness. And I feel like most people are not prepared. They're not ready. And there's a couple simple things you can really do to understand if you're ready, if you are prepared to actually leverage AI to that capacity. Number one, do you have a spreadsheet with all of your content somewhere?
Mm.
I'm going to share with you something. This is how I was able to leapfrog over most every other professional, like copywriter, AI enabled copywriter that I know. I've landed massive contracts. I've worked with Agora Financial. I've worked with 13 of their publishers. I've led workshops on advanced copywriting. These people are getting paid millions of dollars a year to write copy, right? Plus royalties. So at a very high level, I've already mastered how to get AI to not only increase your output. This is the thing that's really important. The biggest advantage is actually the time to market. How fast you can actually get something good out to the market, not crap. How fast can you get something good to the market? So what you want to do, the first step is to actually go, and let me give you two sides of the coin. If you're already an established copywriter, you need to go back and find your top performing copy.
Mm.
Okay. Start collecting it into a Google Doc. This is what's going to be called training data. You need to start building your training data. So, for example, for me, I'm a huge data marketing geek, and I know you are too. I'm a huge data marketing geek. So I actually have a virtual assistant named Clarence. He's been working with me since 2015. And at the end of every month, he takes my social media content, and he puts it into a spreadsheet, and then he records how many comments, how many likes, how many shares. And then he goes deeper. Does it have an image with it? Does it have a video? And then we go deeper. Is it about politics? Is it about social media? Is it about branding? Is it about virtual assistants? So I really dive deep, and I know exactly what's working well. And we take our top 100 posts that I've written since 2017, and we put them into training data, a Google Doc basically, that has my top 100 performing posts of all time. So now it's probably already shifted some mindsets here. The other side of the coin is, if you don't have 10,000 posts to go through like me and you, what you need to do is start looking and gathering. And we can go into the ethical side of this, okay? Because there's definitely some ethical implications here. But you need to start gathering really good content, all right? Because that's what's really gonna make it. And let me tell you what's not gonna make you have AI do good copy for you. Downloading those 3,500 prompt packs, like here's all my magical prompts that write. I'm telling you guys, if you're doing it right, if you want AI to really perform well and write converting copy that crushes, copy that goes viral, copy that people really believe there's no way AI wrote it, you're not going to be able to do it by telling the AI how to write. You're doing it by showing the AI how to write. That's
I
the
love I
real
love this. I love
that
this. And recently I've been working on copy for Social Media Marketing World, our conference that we do every year. And I just took everything off of our homepage, which has been highly tested and refined over years, and I fed it into Claude. And I said, here's all of our data on a really well oiled machine. And that was really useful information, because it turned out with just that one sample, I could have given it every email we've ever sent. I could have given it all the other pages on the website, but I just started with that one sales page. And all of a sudden it was able to discern, okay, what is the value proposition? What are the dates of this event? Who is the ideal target audience? What's the tone of the language? All these kinds of things. I can only imagine if we had like all of my best content that I've ever written, which includes books and other stuff. That would be like kind of fascinating, actually.
So you bring up a really great point, because this is where people get wrong. Okay. And what you said is correct, but here's where people go wrong. It's about the type of output you want from AI. Because if you were to take all your top performing blogs and all your top performing social media posts and all your best selling books and you put them all together, what do you think would happen, Michael?
It'd be a mix mash of all sorts of stuff, right?
It would get confused. It would say, well, I'm learning from your book. I'm learning from your social media. I'm learning from your blog. What would you like me to do?
Right.
So here is the key to writing really good copy with AI. It's a word: imitation. Okay. Remember, what AI is doing today is not sentient. This is not a real person. This isn't a deep thought. It's not thinking about how to write. It's learning from you. It's imitating your writing style. So, and this is a perfect segue into what I call the AI persona method. Okay.
Before we get there, tell me about your client, this dyslexia client that you're going to
Oh,
share an example of.
yeah. So I was sharing with you what's interesting is I'm also thinking about the implications that this does, just not just for business owners, although that's important, but just in general. Like I have a client of mine, Jeremy, who he has dyslexia and he has a really hard time writing social media posts for his business. He has a remodeling business in Phoenix. And what's interesting is that it used to take him 2 to 3 hours just to write a post with his dyslexia. And now with AI, he's taken all the posts that have taken him 2 3 hours to write, and he's put them into a training data, right? Like he's created a Google Doc with all that training data, and it's learned and absorbed and imitated his writing style. And now it only takes the AI 2 to 3 minutes to write something that would take him 2 to 3 hours.
That's so cool. Okay, so far we've got this training data, which is really, really important. And we didn't really talk about if you don't have examples of data. Give us a quick on that too, because there's plenty of people right now that don't have, maybe they're just getting started and they don't have examples. Are we talking about like write like Seth Godin and it already knows what Seth Godin writes like? I mean, is that what we're talking about here?
No. And see, this is the thing. Remember what I just said earlier, which is ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, whatever model that you're looking at, Llama, right? Whatever language model, whatever AI model that you're working with, it has exactly what we just said earlier. It's got books, it's got social media posts, it's got blogs, it's got all this stuff. So when you ask it to write, even if you ask it to write like someone, it still has to think like, what type of output do you want? So what you want to do is you want to start creating training data on specific things. If you want it to write social media posts in a certain way, you start collecting social media posts in a certain way. The most ethical way to do this, if you're a business owner listening to this and you don't want to get in trouble by, stealing other people's data and training it on, the most ethical way today, I still believe, true and genuine, is to hire a good copywriter. Hire a good copywriter to write for you and then train it on that. Maybe even get a contract from the copywriter saying, hey, I want to use your data to train my AI, right?
Yeah.
So that you're completely secure. And I think for bigger corporations, for enterprises, I think, Michael, that's probably going to be the safest way, right?
Yeah. Well, and I would imagine if you hire a copywriter, you have full license to use their copy. So it's probably not an issue because a good copywriter is going to give you complete license to use what he or she creates for you. That's perfect. Okay. And I would imagine if you kept, for lack of better words, a swipe library, which is a phrase we use in the copywriting world, where you've saved a bunch of different examples of really good emails over the years, you could either put snapshots of that in there because it can read the text, or you can feed all that in there to just say like, this is the style of writing that I want to write in. And I don't think anybody's going to care about that because that's how it works when you're writing yourself. You literally have these examples, right? And you're looking at all these examples and trying to reverse engineer what is it that they're doing and then discerning kind of how you're going to do that. But maybe some people would have issue with that.
Let me tell you something. This is the most mind-blowing part that I love about this. You and I have been copywriters for years, and it's taken us years to master this. What is really mind-blowing is how you can get AI within 5 minutes to learn what we did in years.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
This is the part that it should scare copywriters, right? Like genuinely.
Oh, it does. Trust me. I'm messaging lots of them. Yeah.
And also, and this is why, you need to, I think copywriters and marketers are going to have to really switch more to a strategic role instead of an actual implementation execution role. Because I'm going to share with your audience the exact prompts you can use and how easy this is to do. First off, the first prompt you're going to do, let's say you get a bunch of your award-winning emails or social media posts, like stuff you're like, okay, dude, I'm getting like a 30% conversion rate on this email, like 30% of the people are clicking on this link at the bottom, which in the world it would be crazy, right? Like you're looking at a percent would make most people happy, right? So if you let's just say you get your top performing emails and say this is the best emails I got. All you have to do is literally go into Claude, right? Get your Google Doc, download it as a Word doc, okay? Upload it into Claude, and you type 2 words: analyze this. Analyze this. And I promise you, I know that there's a lot of AI gurus out there that talk about all their prompts and everything. I promise you, if you're doing this correctly, you're building really solid training data and you're letting the AI figure it out. See, that's the key, right? So there's the first prompt. The second prompt is I want you to imitate my this writing style. I always say my writing style on my copy, right? Just say, I want you to imitate this writing style and write an email or social media post or whatever it is on X, whatever the topic is, right? So it's literally going to absorb the writing style, and then it's going to write a topic for you using that writing style. And I think you would be completely mind blown how good it actually is with such a small prompt. Analyze this, write a topic on this using this writing style. That's it.
I love it. Okay, let's talk about personas, because this is a key part of the copywriting exercise here. So how do we create an AI persona?
So an AI persona is basically like an AI employee that has a very specific role and purpose and a specific output in your business. So for example, what I just described to you, if I was using my social media posts, I would have a little bit of an explanation on what its role is in the project. Okay, Claude has something new that just came out called Claude Projects. It's beautiful. You can basically set what they call these instructions, custom instructions that tell it a little bit of background. So for example, I have a social media copywriter that knows a lot of information about me. It knows my bio. It knows that I'm an author. It knows that I own VA Staffer. It knows I'm the creator of the AI persona method. It knows my dog's names. It knows my wife of 15 years. It knows my 2 kids. Like, it's hyper personalized about me. And then it's given very specific instructions on how to write specific things. So think of an AI persona as an individual who's been trained on one really amazing output. So I have an AI persona that knows how to write social media content that goes viral. Okay. My 2 top performing posts in 2023 were actually written by AI. My AI that was trained from my training data. It was, I mean, I'm proud of it, obviously, since I'm teaching people how to do AI. But at the same time, I'm like, I was genuinely trying to write better for myself, and the AI beat me.
And for those that aren't as familiar with Claude, what you're really talking about is a custom GPT, which we've talked about before, which is ChatGPT's kind of equivalent. Claude has, what did you say it was called? Projects?
Claude Projects, yep.
Yeah, Claude Projects. So when we're putting together this persona, what do we need? What do we need to collect here?
So this is part of that AI readiness I was telling you about. Yeah. So you need to have you need to have your social media content or your emails, whatever it is that you want it to write like, okay? And don't mix this. This is where a lot of people get this wrong. Don't ask your email copywriter to write you a social media post. Don't write your social media poster to write you an email, although sometimes it does, because I like writing social media style emails. But here's the thing. You want to make sure that you have all of your information dialed in. Okay. There's a bunch of factors that you want to think about, not just about yourself, okay, but your audience. You want to know you have to let the AI persona understand who your audience really is. Who are they? What keeps them up at night, right? Like, what are their desires? I like to give at least 5 desires and 5 fears, right? So what are their desires, things that they want, right? They want to have freedom. For example, my target audience would be online business owners, leaders. What are their desires? They want to have time freedom. They want to have productivity. They want to have reliability. There's lots of different things they want. And what are some of their downfalls? What are the things they're struggling with every day that keeps them up at night? Maybe they don't have that time freedom. They don't have the relationship with their family that they should. Maybe they're working 70, 80 hours a day. Like, I'm trying to think of, in the minds of my people, like, what are the pain points that they really are struggling with right now? And the cool part is when you collect this information and you provide it and really have it understand, what's going to happen is you're going to have the information of what it is and what it's supposed to do. So it knows its role and its specific output. And then it's going to understand a little bit about you and what value you provide to the audience. And then you're going to go into the audience of what they really desire and their struggles. And then what you're going to find is that it's going to have very custom personalized content that people will argue about if you told them it was written by AI.
So I just want to zoom in a little bit on these desires and pain points for those
Sure.
that maybe struggle a little bit with this. So one question, you could do a survey, and the magic wand question I always love. If you could wave a magic wand and solve one of your biggest struggles, what would it be? Right? And in that, you're going to discover what a lot of their pains are. And what's cool, and I know you know this, is that you could just export all that open-ended data right into Claude, and it will categorize it. And it will tell you, like, these are the biggest challenges they face. And then as far as desires, what I found is you can come up with a list of different things. So for example, in my audience, learning AI, learning more about Instagram, learning more about YouTube, like there's a big category, right? And then what you can do is you can do what's called a strongly agree, uncertain, strongly disagree, kind of thing. So you say, I would like to learn more about blank, right? And these are kind of topical interests. But then to take it further, desires are kind of like, sometimes they transcend that, and you have to think to yourself, all right, why do they want to learn more about AI? It's because they want to be relevant, or it's because they want job security, right? Or they want to be on the edge of what's next, right? So sometimes desires, you have to ask yourself, what's underneath that thing? Because the things that we talk about in business are often not really what people's true desires are and what true pains are. So for example, I know a lot of consultants and agency folks, one of their biggest pains right now is obsolescence. And they're concerned that they're going to go out of business because the demand is down and AI is threatening them. What's their biggest desire? Their biggest desire is to perhaps figure out new ways to innovate their business, or to have, I don't know, you can riff with me a little bit. What would be the desire of something like that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I love what you said. The obsolescence. They want to feel like they're on the cutting edge. They want to show people that they're valuable, right? Like,
there you go. That's right.
That's what it is. They want to, and they want to show people why, in this age of AI, they should work with them, right?
Right.
And I think that relevancy is super important, right? Like, one of the beautiful things about my Hail Mary to the Philippines when I flew out there in December of 2022 with my team and created the task force was that desperation of, like, we're going to be an irrelevant agency very soon if we don't figure this out.
Right.
And I feel like if you're not having that conversation, at least internally in your head, you're probably kidding yourself. And we should probably be more self-aware of the true relevance of AI. And I honestly, this is the crazy part. November 2022. So we're like 2 years out, and look how far it's come in 2 years.
It's crazy. So we've got the fears and the pain points. That's going to be part of this persona. Talk to me about the role. Like, we talked about, what I heard you say was, hey, you should have a different role, like an email marketer versus maybe an ad copywriter versus a sales page copywriter. How much information do we need to feed it? Do we just say, act as if you are a world leading copywriter for sales pages? Is that it? Or do we give it a little bit more on that?
So you're gonna love this. Usually, especially if I'm developing out a copywriter,
Yeah,
I will actually say that you are an expert at imitating writing styles. Okay.
Okay.
And then Yeah, that's something that's a little bit, it's like what you said, it's looking beyond, right?
Right.
Because if you said you're a professional copywriter, it's going to think about what it needs to know, and it's going to pull from the database and training data that's built in. But if you tell it that your job is to imitate my writing style or in the training data I give you, that's starting off at a completely different realm.
I
Like
love
that's
that.
10 times better than what you're going to get just by telling it you're a professional copywriter. Okay.
Do you tell it any more than that?
Oh
Other
yeah.
than keep
Yeah.
going.
So let me give you an example of a social media copywriter. So I would say you are an expert at imitating writing styles from professional copywriters. Okay. I would say your role is to actually write viral social media content styled by the training data that's provided to you. And then I would start giving it information about myself. I would be as detailed as possible. Then I would start giving it information about my target audience as detailed as possible before I even have it write its first post. And this is where people go wrong. They're trying to play along with the prompt and build it out as they go. That's the wrong way to do it. The right way to do it is to be prepared. That first prompt is probably going to be a couple paragraphs where you're explaining what it should do. Believe it or not, the role is the smallest part, right? The role is actually the smallest part. You just need to make sure it understands what its role is and what specifically its output is supposed to be, what we expect from it. The rest of it is literally giving it understanding your target audience, and training data. And that's the part that I believe is the most important, and that what most people are missing from the equation. So most people watching this, if you're playing around and doing this, oh man, this is, I hope, going to be one of those aha moments that changes everything for you.
What's really something I've been experimenting with is after I give it as much as I can, and I'm typically giving it not nearly as many examples as you're talking about, but I am giving it the role. I'm giving it the target audience. I'm explaining who they are, what they look like, metaphorically, what their interests are, and pain points and desires. Sometimes I'll ask it, is there anything else you need? Something along those lines, or what am I missing that would help you? And I found shockingly that it always seems to come up with something else. And it might ask, all right, can give me your key value proposition of what it is you're trying to sell. I'm like, duh, I should have thought to include that, right? And when it comes to feeding you information about you, like if we're going to have it right like us, you mentioned you're telling it your dogs, your wife, everything else, like help everybody understand how much information about ourselves should we really give the AI? I know some people are a little scared about that, but tell me why.
So first off, let's go back to the most important factor. In this world of AI and automation, we're losing the human touch. And the thing that keeps separating us, our value proposition compared to AI, is that we are actually human, that we have that creativity and ability to be what is called divergent, meaning AI can only learn from what you've done, and it can imitate what you've done. It's not going to come up with a new idea. It might think of a different angle to do the same thing that it's taught. But in nature, we've learned, especially as marketers, that when everyone starts to zig, that's when it's time to zag. And that zag is the key performance that we have as human beings. So what you're doing, you're literally kind of cheating, right? You're having this AI persona that understands you. It understands your personality, your background. And what's really interesting and fun for me is that I'm giving it super hyper personalized information, like where I live in California. I'm giving it things that I talk about and don't. And by the way, this is what's really valuable about building your own data set. Okay. When you are using your own content, if you have a copywriter, or you can even use a copywriting tool, here's another ethical way to do it. You can use a tool like, for example, I already have a viral social media custom GPT, and I have one in Claude as well, using this little app that I use, where I'm literally like selling access to the tool, and they're using it to write stories about themselves, and then you can start using that as your training data. What's important is that every time I write, so you said earlier that you're not putting as much in as mine yet. You will after this, but I use 100 of my own social media posts plus 100 of somebody that I really like, and I have his permission, named Josh Fector. You might have heard of him. He's the guy who pretty much invented the bro style writing on LinkedIn that used to go viral all the time. And Josh Fector is an incredible copywriter. He created a marketing company called BAMF, which is the BA Marketing for Founders. And it was just so fun. I loved his writing style. So I started combining it together. And what's cool about using your own content is it literally learns from your own stories. I have stories in there from when I was a kid feeling rejected. I have stories about losing a client, and the client stole $1 million from me. These are stories that are written in my data set. So the AI understands me at an intimate level to where no one would ever believe that AI is writing for me, because the stories are so intimate. There's no way ChatGPT or Claude could come up with these ideas. And that's what separates a great copywriter from a mediocre copywriter. And then it's exacerbated. It's exponential in AI, because you can tell. And if you can tell that someone's writing with AI, you've already lost the battle. The worst thing you can do for your brand is use AI in a way that people know it's AI, because then it's inauthentic. And I think authenticity is really important these days. I believe that right now it's never been more important to be human. You need to build your brand, you need to build your community, and you need to be authentic. And if you're not those three things, you're not going to make it in this world.
Talk to me a little bit about the experience working with Claude Projects, because we've never discussed this on the show. What does everybody kind of need to know when they're setting up Claude Projects?
All right. So Claude Projects, you definitely want to have a couple things prepared. So Claude Projects, you're going to want to think about that AI readiness again, right? So you want to worry about building out training data. And again, just like custom GPTs, you only want to have a project produce a specific type of content. So I have an email writer, right, that has my best performing emails, and the AI persona is basically telling the same thing, where, hey, you're an email marketer who's an expert at imitating my writing style, the training data attached, and then I give it information about my company, right? And I have multiple ones. So I'll have my Claude projects set up for each of my companies. I have my virtual assistant company, I have my AI company, I have my Savage Marketer brand, and each of those projects, not only does it have the training data of my top performing emails, but also has the background information to be very specific. And again, the trick here is for whether you're using a custom GPT or a Claude project or whatever, you want to make sure that each of them is set up to produce a specific output. As soon as you can change your mindset to where, like, this is a generator, okay? Anytime I say a chat, anytime I create an AI persona, I want you to think that this is a generator. It is designed to generate a specific type of content. And that is where things start getting fun. So the goal is to create predictable. So here's the thing, Michael. It's actually not that hard to get a miracle in AI these days, to get AI to write something really good. What is really difficult, and I believe the most rewarding, is to have it repeatedly give really good results. And I think that's the key of building out really solid training data and then training those AI personas to be very specific to the task at hand.
Does Claude Projects allow you to go in and edit it? Because obviously some people are going to learn and they're going to want to go back and modify it. Can you do that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, Claude Projects is really fun. It gives you the ability to create a knowledge base. So when you first go to Claude, first off, you're going to have to have a paid account. So $20 a month for your own copywriter. I know, who can afford that? But on Claude, the things that you have to know is there's adding your own content. Okay, so that's where the training data goes. And then there's that custom instructions. Okay, so I'm going to bring up, if you want to see how detailed it is, I'll tell you a couple things. I have mine up in front of me right now. Okay, so here's my own copywriter. You are an expert in examining and imitating writing styles of professional copywriters. In the knowledge base provided by me, I've given you two sets of training data. One is my most viral 100 posts for myself, Jeff J. Hunter, and others are examples from founders and CEOs that have gone viral on LinkedIn. You should analyze the writing style and imitate it to create viral social media posts in the writing style on the topic that I provide. And then I go into the details of myself. Jeff J. Hunter is the founder of VA Staffer, a virtual assistant agency in the Philippines with over 100 team members. And I go into what I specialize in. And then I'm also the creator of the AI persona method with 350 students learning how to use AI for their business to take over their marketing. And then I'm also the creator of the AI consultant certification program, the very first one. We have over 150 consultants. And then I go into my family. I have two boys. Jesse's 12, Lincoln's 5. Wife, Anna. I've been married to her for 15 years. I have a rotten little French bulldog named Nugget and a giant cane corso named Cardi. I live in California and I travel the world teaching people how to build remote teams and leverage AI. When you write viral posts, make each sentence its own paragraph, which is, by the way,
yes,
the most common phrase ever written in AI if you're a copywriter. And funny story, I don't know if your audience will be able to see this. Oh, I have a shirt.
I'll be able to tell it. But what does it say? Do you remember?
I have a shirt that literally has a Claude prompt and it says, make each sentence its own paragraph.
Yeah.
That's
a big deal. Yeah.
If you're a professional copywriter,
and
you're using AI, you have totally typed that. So,
okay. So, when this is all in there, what's your prompt to get what you want? Like, just help people understand how simple it is,
This is the part that's going to blow your mind. The prompt is so simple. The prompt is literally write a viral post about topic. That's it. That's it. Now, sometimes if I have like a couple talking points that I wanted to do, like for example, today, my assistant got frustrated because I have a membership program and my team, every time there's like a failed payment or whatever, or someone cancels, like my team has to deal with that stuff. Right. And my assistant was like, I want to test it out. She wanted to write a post on her side about, she found one of the students in our, I probably shouldn't say this, I'm going to anyway, vulnerability, authenticity. There's somebody that we investigated who we have one of those 30-day money back guarantee, right?
Right.
And on day 30, we see that this person logged in, literally was logging in like almost every day and was literally logged in for 4 hours the day on the last 30 days. And then requested a refund, which means, of course, we know he absorbed everything and then, he's being a cheapskate, but that's okay. Right?
Yeah.
It happens. And so my assistant actually used the AI, my AI persona that writes like me. And she put in there, she says, write a post about how frustrating it is with membership cancellations when I went inside and saw that he was really learning a lot from the program, but still had the nerve to cancel. And it just wrote this whole post and it was so good. And that's the
so
type
cool.
of thing that I believe is so cool, is that when I see other people using my tools and I see it perform so good for them, it's like, it's one of the most validating feelings that I've had, period, professionally.
Jeff J. Hunter, this has been a fascinating discussion. If people want to connect with you on the socials, what's your preferred platform? And if they want to check out your business, where do you want to send them?
Yeah, LinkedIn is the best. I've been full on Facebook. You know how that is for many years on Facebook. And if you just go to jeffjhunter.com, you click on the little about me. I have all my little socials on there. I'd love to connect with you and share with you the things I'm doing. And if you want to get a copy of the book, Michael will have a nice little link for you guys in wherever we're at.
Yeah, and then if they want to check out your business, where do you want to send them?
Oh, the AI persona method. Yeah, if you just go to jeffjhunter.com, and I have all that stuff on there.
Awesome.
I love to connect with people and share, and I have this awesome opportunity to share this crazy, geeky, nerdy side of me that's been, uh, been ready to come out for many years.
Yeah, and the name of the book is AI for Business Playbook. Jeff, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Michael.